We do this in relationships. When the person is no longer acting or is no longer becoming to what we want. And the problem with picking out of things out of people and zoning in on minute things is that sometimes we pick over the things that we should have probably noticed, and the things that we ignored are the things that now become mountains. They were once molehills, but now they are mountains. And the funny thing about picking and choosing, which is in your God-given right, but sometimes we as people are so finical. We as people are we are so indecisive in what we want today is different from what we want tomorrow. And sometimes I pick over something that I could have worked on. In other words, I quit before I try. I fail before I succeed because I've already given up. And this is the problem when you got too many flavors or too many choices in your life sometimes. And even the word of God said, I want you to pick this day of who you're going to serve. Choose this day who you're going to serve. Because a person who is lukewarm is good for nothing, because you don't really know whether they're hot or cold. It all depends upon the day. And in this scripture, we find people that are indecisive. We find people that on Monday, they want this flavor, but by Friday, they want something totally different. And we have choices to eat the foods that we want, but don't you ever realize that the things that you eat that you want that are normally not good for you only fulfill you for a small amount of time? It's the same concept when we choose to walk with Jesus. When I pick other things, they only are temporal, right? They only give me satisfaction for a little bit. And then you always default back to the ultimate plan, which is actually choosing Jesus. See, we can have an insatiable appetite for a number of things, a number of food items. But the things that sustain us, the things that fulfill us, are only the things that are good for us and good to us. See, some of us, we do it in our relationships, right? If this person say one more thing to me, if he look at me sideways, if she do that one more thing, I'm out the door. If my boss asks me to do one more thing outside of my responsibilities, I'm looking for a new job. We are sometimes too quick to choose something else without trying to stay the course. And so today, I just wanted to encourage you that in Jesus, you got to stay the course. And he's given us examples all throughout scriptures about staying the course and about running the race and how it's not given to the swift. See, that means that the race is not always going to be a fast one to get to the finish line. It's about staying the course and seeing it through the process, and seeing the process. Whatever you pick, you sometimes got to learn to deal with what you pick. Now, by no means is he ever telling you to stay in a situation that is bad, that no longer benefits you, that is abusive spiritually or physically. Never said any of that. But what we want you to understand is that man is fickle and man changes like the wind. But when you decided to take the walk with your life or change your life, and you said that you was going to walk with Jesus, he never promised every day would be sunshine. What he did say was that I'll be with you even when it's not sunshine, even when it's cloudy, and even when it's raining, that when you're looking down the eye of the storm, you can tell yourself that I can make it through the storm because he did it before, he'll do it again. But you got to sometimes tell yourself that in the eye of the storm that I am what is the strength within that storm, because my strength comes from the Lord. Yeah, I talk about 31 flavors and growing up as a child and how I like different flavors of ice cream. But see, life is a little bit more complex than choosing different flavors. And I love Baskin Robbins because they had so many to choose from. But see, in life and in this walk of salvation, this ain't a blank check like, well, I'll write on this line today. That'll cover me for the duration of my walk on this earth. doesn't quite work like that. See, when I choose to follow Jesus, we have to learn that we have to choose to follow him all the way through, to choose to trust the process. But see, some of us, we want to have it our way. We want toppings on the burger today, but tomorrow we don't want that. Today we're vegan, but tomorrow, because the aroma of the beef that's cooking now, I'm going to eat beef. But we can live our lives and eat the way we choose to. But in the life of Christ, we have to learn to stick to who we said we're going to follow. Even in the bad times, even in times when we're perplexed by situations, it ain't time to choose a different flavor, because the last time I checked, that Jesus is sweeter than the sugar on the honeycomb. That honey, it capsulates into every little piece of the honeycomb. You can't get it no more sweeter than that. And see, when I go and I choose a flavor, it only lasts for a certain amount of time. It only stays on my palate for the time that I'm eating the ice cream. But once it's over, it's over. But when I choose to walk with Jesus, it's sweet. I know it's sweet even in the bitter times. Because see, in the bitter times, when it's hard to digest that medicine, that dose that we need for reprimand and reproof, it still goes down bitter, but it comes up sweet, because we can go back to sweet memories of when Jesus was still there for us. We can go back to times and realizing that he is the reason for the season. And in this scripture, these people were swayed, and one moment they were following God, the next moment they had an idol to worship to. And I don't know about you, but for me, I need something that I can feel living and breathing in the root of me, in the fiber of me, because in that fiber, it is connected to Jesus the Christ. Yeah, I'm going to have an idol and build an ark, a passageway up to heaven. And somehow, I don't know why God would be discouraged. God would be hurt by these actions. But he was, because this is not something that he shined upon. You make no altars for yourself. See, because it's man-made. It's nothing that God has put place. It's nothing that he has built. So it's built on a falsehood. Yeah, well, today I believe in you, God, but I think I found another way. Well, there's no other ways in servicing God. And see, what happens is when you start building stuff and then you get people to follow you, the issue with that is that now you have a group of people following you, and you just might be going straight on into hell. And these are the same people, church, that had this same belief in God. Before they were swayed, they were assured. And see, that's why you need to be very, very sure that when you say you are following Jesus, that you're not quick to change up on flavors. That when it gets rough and it gets hard, that you don't start doing things that he did not intend for you to do, that you don't start doing things outside of his art. And he makes parameters. Not out of his love, because his love is bountiful, but he makes clear direction to what he wants us to do, and that wasn't it. And just like everything came crumbling down, then it'll come crumbling down in your life. Now it seems a little negative, but I assure you that I am encouraging you today to keep in remembrance to the type of arcs that we build up in our minds that translate into our lives when we decide that we no longer want this flavor today because it just doesn't taste right today. I want a different, my taste buds require something different. But see, Jesus is the only taste that we need. And so we have to be conscious of what we're doing when we're doing it, and how that will affect somebody else in our fold, and how we teach and walk and lead in times in times of hardship. So I just wanted to compel you today that when we take a look at this text, we see a people that were so driven and were so sure of themselves until somebody started talking something other in their ear, where you know you got choices. Well, you know you don't have to continue to eat that flavor. Come over here, sit at this table, eat this. But then when I got up, I was bloated. I was overwhelmed. I needed to sit. I couldn't move. Now I'm got a headache and my pressure's up. That's because you feasted at a table that was not intended for you. I just want to help somebody today. See, every flavor that's on the table doesn't mean you need to taste everything. Because see, that's gluttony. And see, what gluttony does is it keeps you in that recliner. Not just literally sitting in the recliner, but it allows you to let your guard down and recline back into situations that you didn't have to be in the first place. So I want us to be careful about choosing who you're going to follow and who we say we are serving. When I say I am a servant of the Most High, when I say that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, when I say that only to him I owe everything, then that means I owe to him everything, and in every situation, in every circumstances, to trust him. To say that when I get the sweetness of Jesus on my palate, that nothing else can compare to that. So where are you today in serving? Do you long for that relationship where when you're out in nature and you're going for a walk or you're driving or you're in your daily activity, something stops you in the aisle and you can taste the Lord on your tongue, when you can go back into your memory banks and think about how even though we feast on food, that what sustains us is the living word, and we chew and we gnaw on it and we digest it, and it fulfills our spirit, our minds, and our soul. I encourage you today to seek out the flavor of the Lord and to realize that every day it's always constant, because he's constant. He's consistent. But on the days when it don't taste so sweet, I encourage you to still take the medicine. Remember how our parents would tell us to take cod liver oil and to keep away colds and all these hot toddies to bring down cold and other remedies to reduce inflammation. I just don't want you to swell up into other territory for only to realize that you got to rely back on God to take down the swelling. So I encourage you today to examine your relationships with the Almighty, to realize that he is the only one and true flavor that we need. It covers everything in our lives. And I offer to you today a place of rest in that. Even in this house of Zion, where you can taste the fullness of God with the people of God, with a dynamic leader, teacher, and pastor. Is it you today? Are you looking for somewhere to rest your head? Already been baptized? Already know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light? You can put it in the chat today. You can reach out to Pastor, to Dr. A through email, through Transformation website. But as sure as you have listened today, I want you to know that you got an open invitation every Sunday. And as we close, we look to God for help and for strength. We look to God for resources. We look to God because He is God. And knowing that Him and Him alone can do all things to keep us wanting more from Him, because He is so great and can give us everything that we need. In Jesus' holy and righteous name today I pray. And I implore you to be well, to be blessed, and to be transformed.